Hello everyone! It's nearly the end of the year, and I figured it would be a lot of fun to close it off with a little quiz. The feedback last time was mostly about balancing the difficulty, so I've done my very best to make it ramp up just a little bit more. But hey, let's just dive into it and see how you do. Scholomance, School of Necromancy, became the home base for Kel'thuzad and his Cult of the Damned. But what family owned Scholomance before the Necromancer showed up? That would be the Baroth family, who entered a deal with Kel'thuzad to preserve their fortune and hold of the land. Safe to say, things didn't work out as they expected.
At this point, the Cult of the Damned is a cult classic.
Deathwing and his Black Dragon family, they've caused quite a bit of trouble for the world. But who was the lucky lady that nearly married Deathwing? Calia Menethil was nearly married off to Devil Prestor, the disguise used by the Black Dragon aspects, but the world fighting him and his schemes, it saved her from that unfortunate fate, and now she walks the land as a holy undead.
Light's blessing upon you.
Now I know that a whole lot of you have been reliving Classic, or you're enjoying it for the very first time. Ragnaros in the Molten Core, the Dark Horde with Nefarian in Blackrock Spire, who was responsible for summoning the heroes of the Horde and Alliance to clean out the mountain. Moira Bronzebeard, kidnapped daughter of Magni. She fell in love with her captor, even conceived a child. It was her clever mind that leaked information of the threats and treasures that were waiting in the mountain, and this, in turn, it brought heroes of the world to clean it out for her and liberate the Dark Irons from their enslavement.
Keep poking me, and I'll show you how a dark iron rots!
Now Sylvanas has abandoned the Horde to kick off the next expansion. Before her, there was another war chief that became quite a problem. Garrosh, he did not relinquish his title of war chief. Instead, the world rose up and forced him out of it, placed on trial, which two dragons helped him escape and kick off the next expansion into Draenor. The Bronze Dragon Kairos Dormu, he worked together with the Black Dragon Raphion to set Garrosh free and take him into an alternate reality. Once there, he could form this alternate horde, have it stand with us against the coming legion. Plans with the best intentions, I suppose. Plans that didn't really work out.
We will never be slaves!
We all know about the love affair between Jaina and Arthas. Those two were close, even as children, and grew closer still as time went on. During his travels, the prince often met pretty young ladies. None were able to capture his heart like Jaina had though, but who was sent to his room to keep him company when he was inspecting the internment camps and spending his time at Durnholz. Taretha Foxton was sent up to the prince's room cause her master thought that he would enjoy her company. Being the true, honorable prince that he was, Arthas, he did not take advantage of the offer. Instead, they spent a few hours together, they just chatted away the night and enjoyed each other's company before sending her back.
My Lord Blackmore sent me with this offering of things to tempt you.
Alright, onwards to the next section. It is sound clip time. I'm gonna play a little sound file from World of Warcraft. You tell me what we're hearing.
Plans? Little old me? What sort of plans could I possibly have?
The Dark Lady, Sylvanas Windrunner. She apparently has quite a few plans going on. Plans to increase her power and make ready for that brand new expansion, going into the Shadowlands.
Curse you! Curse your mother! I will bite your head down your throat! You Odin himself will you to the ground!
One of the best annoyed sound clips that you could find in the game. This is King Ymiron hanging out as a follower in the Warrior Order Hall, being poked until he can't take no more. I'm pretty sure that this clip has been used in several places in the game, but the one that stands out, that would be Naxxramas. These are the screams of the tormented. You hear echoing through the halls, until you face Thaddius. Then, all of a sudden, the screams are no longer there, as they are fused in this titanic, undead monstrosity.
There is no good, no evil, no light. There is only power!
Archbishop Benedictus gave this beautiful speech each time that we faced during the Cataclysm. a holy man that fell to despair and darkness as he gazed upon Deathwing, now going by the title of Twilight Father.
Yes! 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 No! 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 Yes! No! Peppers!
Uncle Gao Stormstout. He was quite happy experimenting and messing about in the Stormstout brewery, but his recipes created quite a bit of trouble for heroes. And next up, let's go into screenshot time. What are we looking at? These are the gates in Taretha, which lead into Uldum before they were opened up. Before the cataclysm rocked the world and the magical defenses around the desert, they disappeared. The bones of Galakrond in Northrend, once said to be the first amongst the dragons. Now we know that he was a massive proto-dragon. He became so huge, such a problem, that he started to eat his own kind. The now dragon aspects, they had to unite with Keeper Tyr to take him out. Here we see the undead trying to resurrect him. Thankfully, that never came to be. Before the whole 4th war kicked off in Battle for Azeroth, there was an attempt made at peace. Here we see the graves of those poor Forsaken that came here to reunite with their living relatives. A story told in the novel Before the Storm, a meeting that ended in tragedy. On Argus, the Kroko, they have a little museum going on. One of the items that stands out here are all that remains of the legendary orc Proxigar. He jumped through the portal over the Well of Eternity to stand his ground against none other than Sargeras. This bought Azeroth the time it needed to stop the Dark Titan from coming into the world. Now if there's one spirit that I'd love to make a cameo during the Shadowlands, it would be Proxigar. It was the blood of Mannoroth that bound the orcs to the Burning Legion, and it would take them many years, even drinking once again, to see Grommash rise up and slay the Pit Lords. His skull and armor are proudly displayed in Orgrimmar, to then later be used by Grum's son Garrosh. He moved the skull to above the throne, while the tusks, they made his shoulders all the more badass. For our next section, I'm going to give you a description of an area, or a zone, or a planet. Up to you to answer what exactly I'm talking about. So for example, if I tell you that this is the place where the bones of Galakrond rest, then the answer would be Dragonblight. Alright, let's start off with the first one. Once part of the Elven Kingdom, this area was transformed when the goblins, they joined the Horde, and they wanted to do a little something to show their loyalty. The goblin way of saying thank you. The zone that I'm talking about, that is called Azshara, reshaped to look like the Horde symbol by the goblins. This area was abandoned when a mighty volcano erupted around the time of the Cataclysm. Heroes were once blamed for this, while in truth, it was greed that caused its destruction. That's the island of Kazan, abandoned by the goblins, since the leader Gallywix, he dug so deep that it caused Mount Kajaro to erupt. This greed though, it did make him one of the first to get his hands on Azerite, something that we'd later return for. In this area, Ogres and Gronn ruled the land. A much younger Khadgar teamed up with them, faced off against the mighty Black Dragon Deathwing, and was able to hurt him by magically assaulting the plates of armor that hold the dragon together. This took place in the Blade Edge Mountains, where even to this day you can see the remnants of the Black Dragons. They're hung up on spikes. Sibelian, son of Deathwing, he even hangs out here, handing out quests, and this is why Gruul has the Dragon Slayer title. The Warlocks Dreadsteed and Rawsteeds, they're bred on this planet. A portal was opened to it while fighting Portal Keeper Hazabel. What world am I talking about? This one is known as Zoro, one of the fiery, chaotic worlds belonging to the Burning Legion. I do wonder what it's like these days, with Sargeras defeated and all, maybe a question answered in the future. It was here where the Draenei, on the run from Kil'jaeden and the Legion, they made a crash landing. The spirits of the orcs, they're sucked into their abandoned vessel, while one's connection to the elements is actually quite strong here. This beautiful area is known as the Grand, with its throne of elements and Oshu'gun. Oshu'gun being the ship that the Draenei used to flee from Argus. Which brings us to final questions time, with multiple answers. See how many you can get. Dalaran was destroyed by Archimonde during Warcraft 3, but then they rebuilt it and sent it off into the skies. what locations has this floating citadel visited so far? First, it moved to Northrend to aid in the Nexus War and fight against the Lich King. Fun fact, it was actually once planned to play its part during the Siege of Orgrimmar, but that part never happened. Instead, it first moved to the Deathwing Pass, before we teleported it to the Broken Isles. How many of the 9 Valkyrie remain that entered the pact with Sylvanas after she killed herself? Bonus points if you can actually name them. There are 3 Valkyrie remaining, namely Kira, Signa, and an unnamed 3rd Valkyr. The original Horde invaded Azeroth and failed to conquer the planet, to which they came up with a brand new plan. They were going to make more portals to different worlds and instead invade those. Which 3 powerful items, which 3 powerful artifacts did Ner'zhul need for his ritual? This ritual required the Book of Medivh, the Eye of Dalaran, and the Scepter of Sargeras. Ner'zhul, he was successful in creating all of his portals, but the Alliance of Lordaeron, they prevented the Horde from inflicting the same pain to other worlds as they had caused to Azeroth. These portals would lead to the destruction of Draenor into Outland as we know it today. Well, Ner'zhul, he ended up right in the hands of Kil'jaeden, and then was turned into the Lich King. Now, speaking of the Horde, and our final question for today, name all the different Hordes and the War Chiefs. This one has quite a lot of answers. There have been so many over the years that I might have forgotten a few of them, but here's my best try. There was the very first Horde with the War Chief Blackhand. He was challenged to Mak'gora by Orgrim Doomhammer, who then took over. That Horde was defeated by the Alliance of Lordaeron. Some of them, they returned home to Draenor, while others, they took a base in the Blackrock Mountain under the leadership of Ren Blackhand and his so-called Dark Horde. Those that had fled home, they later returned with their War Chief Ner'zhul, also defeated. Those that had stayed home, they would fall under the leadership of Illidan, while the War Chief, he was Kark of Bladefist of the so-called Fel Horde. On Azeroth, Thrall rose up. The Horde changed quite a bit, with additions like the Tauren, the Trolls and the Forsaken. Garrosh was then given leadership of this Horde, his so-called True Horde. He then traveled to alternate Draenor, where alternate Gromash, he became the War Chief of the Iron Horde. Meanwhile, Vol'jin, he took over as War Chief for Azeroth's Horde, to do nothing and died to the demons. Before he died, he passed the leadership to Sylvanas, who abandoned the Horde to kick off the next expansion, which leaves us with seemingly no War Chief, but rather a council. You can never have enough Horde or War Chiefs, it seems. Hopefully, I didn't forget one, and hopefully you really enjoyed this little quiz. If all things go according to plan, then this should be one of my last videos for the year 2019. Another year has come and gone, and what a year it's been. The start of next month should be the release of patch 8.3, and then it's onwards to the Shadowlands beta and a brand new expansion. For now, all that's left for me to say is thank you so very much, everybody. I hope the next year is going to bring all that you're looking for. Stay safe for your celebrations, and until next time, see ya!